5 minutes. We will be sure to share the recording after. So if you are in a place where you're only able to stay for part of the session, not to worry, we will share the recording with you a little bit later on. So we are going to be together today to celebrate all of the action that is taking place in our schools all around the world. So we're so happy to have you joining in. I am Jennifer, and I am here in Florida in the United States. Cannot wait to share about some of the wonderful projects that are happening with our classrooms around the world. We have a whole team here to help us celebrate, including our team at Take Action Global and our youth ambassadors, who we'll be hearing from in just a little bit. And I'd love to say hello to Lindsay in the Chicago area. How's it going over there, Lindsay?
Hello, everybody. I always say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening because we are a global community that are connecting today. And it's so nice to see people from all over the world. I see some classrooms that are joining us. I see some educators. There's a class of students in V. Mason's class that are here with us today. ABC Schools is represented here. We have many of our youth ambassadors. Let's see who else is here. Our friend Alawale has joined us with his students. Oh, I see some of my friends from Switzerland are here as well. Oh, it's so nice to see such an amazing group has joined us today. Jen, anybody else that you see in the chat?
Let's see. I'll jump over to the chat. There's lots of messages coming in. So we have ABC School 402, Friends in Lebanon. I see Jack and Noor, our friends from World's Largest Lesson. We're going to hear from them in just a little bit. So many of you joining. Alfonso, great to see you. Peru and Chile represented. So keep adding in on the chat box where you're joining from. Really excited to see the whole world represented here today. A lot of people, I think, are getting to nighttime, so they're probably staying up late to be with us. Some people are just getting started in their school day. So no matter where you are, we're so thrilled to have you with us, and we're ready to get things kicked off. So today is a celebration of students, and you all are taking action in ways that are creating collective impact at both the local and the global level. So we're going to start off by celebrating our friends who are part of the Goals Project. This is a 6-week project where we work together around the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And to help us do that, we have some extraordinary facilitators. So these are volunteer educators who join with us to help lead groups of classrooms. So they each take on one of the SDGs and lead teachers to create impact with their students. So if you are one of our Goals Project facilitators, please be sure to wave. You can give shout outs to your group in the chat. We have representation across all of the global goals from 1 to 17. So no matter which project you're working on, which goal you're focused on, we're so happy to have you with us. One of our favorite parts of that project is the voices of our youth ambassadors. And so I know Namia was with us this morning, and she's probably hopefully sleeping by now, but she had some great things to share about her work and her role as a youth ambassador. This year, we also have weekly youth ambassadors that are sharing their videos, and we're able to reflect on those in Padlet. So 9 youth ambassadors. We're working with Ella. Hopefully Ella's here. If you are, please wave. And we have a few of them who are here with us today, and we're excited to invite them to meet you all formally. You've been hearing their stories and giving them feedback in Padlet. But let's see. I think Anissa, are you here? We'd love to say hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
we can. It's great to see you. How are things going?
Everything's good. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. I know when we put your video up in week 2, you were right there sharing responses in Padlet. So maybe you could share, if someone hasn't yet seen your video, the SDGs you're focused on, and maybe what you have seen the response in Padlet from students around the world.
Oh yeah, of course. So my name is Anissa, and I'm passionate about a lot of SDGs, but the ones I'm most focused on are number 4, number 5, so quality education and gender equality, and then 14 and 15, and life on land, life underwater. I hope I got that right. And I made a video about what I think a world that incorporates all the SDGs would look like. And I was so honored to see so many kids on the Padlet board talk about how they are contributing to a more sustainable world and what their plans are and what their hopes are for a world that looks like the one we want to see. So I was really grateful to see that. And I think it's so important that we start as kids, as young people, to care for our world and to care for our legacy as inhabitants of this earth. And that's what I want to focus on, just how we can care for the earth, and how I think quality education is a huge part of this, because through programs like this one, we have kids who have access to so many ideas around the SDGs, who are so passionate and driven, and who have been given these tools to learn more about how they can contribute to a better world. So that's why currently right now, quality education is one of my favorite ones, because it can do so much for the others.
Anissa, I wonder, with the world learning about the SDGs, we're actually at the midpoint, we're at the halfway point to 2030. But some schools, some students, and even some countries are only just now beginning to focus on the SDGs. I know Nigeria is one of the countries that have been leading the way with the SDGs. Living there, how has it been for you growing up, knowing about the SDGs? What do you think the response has been with people in your local community, knowing that you are an advocate for the goals? Any recommendations you have for schools as they're just getting going?
That's a good question, because when I was a bit younger, I had a club, a sustainability club in my school. And because of that, I was able to kind of see how these ideas could transform in the city. So it started with our school, and we had some educational programs about recycling and caring for the environment and for animals. And that I saw that cause a change in my school. I saw people think twice before littering, for example. I saw people going to get their things recycled. And in my city today, I believe it, as of last year, they got rid of I think single-use plastics and like those single-use takeout containers. And I think seeing that around me has really inspired me that, okay, working towards a better world is possible, because it was happening in my city. It's still happening in my city. And I think, honestly, when it comes to how we can spread that all over the world, I think it just has to start with, teaching one and reaching one to reach somebody else. Because it started in my school, I was able to make a small difference by making a difference within that club that made a difference for the whole school. And then the school can make a difference in the city. So it starts small and builds up, I think. And that's something I think applies to any city in the world. We just have to start somewhere and grow from there.
Mm-hmm. Just start somewhere. I think that our classrooms have loved being able to connect with you on Padlet, and hopefully you'll be able to continue to go there. If you haven't yet joined on Padlet, find Anissa, make sure you watch her video. She is there to give you responses and learn about the work that you're doing. We also have one of your colleagues here, Ryan, and Ryan also has shared his message on the Padlet board. Ryan, I'd love to invite you to say hello and share a little bit about the work you've been doing on the global goals and maybe what it looks like in your hometown in Canada.
Hi, so my name is Ryan. Thanks again. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a great opportunity. And one of my favorite goals is number 15, Life on Land, which mainly focuses to protect, restore, and promote our sustainable use of our terrestrial ecosystems and to halt biodiversity loss. And I really love the whole Padlet experience, because then you know that there's like other people out there like you, and that like just to share the experiences, these like all these kids are so motivated, and I love inspiring them. They inspire me. I inspire them. And I love the videos. Some kids even gave these videos, and there was this one boy who he had such a great idea. He wanted to make a helicopter to clean up all the pollution in the oceans. Like, these kids are just so creative, and I love sharing and hearing what they're doing in their own town. And some of the projects that I'm working on are, I raise monarch butterflies every year. And I also helped make our town a monarch friendly town by speaking to the town council, working with the David Suzuki Foundation, and talk to him a little bit also about pangolins, which I also work with the Wildlife Conservation Network. I'm an ambassador for the Wildlife Conservation Network and work with them because sadly pangolins are one of the most highly trafficked animals in the world. So I really just want to help them on their journey and to not become extinct because they're such beautiful creatures, and I really love animals. They're so beautiful.
I think you have a lot of friends around the world that your message has really resonated with them and their interest in caring for animals too. So we have a lot of other ambassadors. Their messages are going to be coming up for the next few weeks, but Brian and Anissa, hopefully you'll stay with us over the next hour, and we'd love to get some words of advice at the end of our session today, as we're going to have a call to action for our global group of students here in ways that they can also share their ideas, much like you both have. So hopefully you can stay on, and then we'll have you back in just a little bit. All right, sounds great. So in addition to the work that we're doing around all of the 17 SDGs, we have 100 schools that are working over the entire school year, collaborating for one specific SDG, which is SDG 13 and climate action. So we are so proud to announce our climate action schools today. And I'm going to turn it back over to Lindsay to share about some of the schools that are joining with us and what they're working on.
Thank you, Jen. So if you're a part of our Climate Action Schools program, we just want to welcome you to today's session. We're so grateful to have you here working with us. These classrooms of students and teachers are from all over the world, all age ranges. We have people representing from New Jersey, California, India, Romania, and they're showing up in a really big way, from learning about the keystone species in their community to sharing lesson plans that have worked within their classrooms. They're doing school-wide audits to better understand what's working within their locus of control and what they could do better. And these projects that they have are incredible. So our Climate Action Schools program is, as Jen said, a 10-month-long program. So these people have been working since the beginning of the school year, and we'll have a huge celebration in April. We'll end our time together with some celebrations of tree planting. So if it's something that you're interested in, please reach out because it's an amazing program. And if any of you are in the Climate Action Schools program and are on the webinar today, I'd love for you to play a little hunt and find game. See if you can find your logo represented here in the multitude of logos that are representative of all of our schools within the Climate Action Schools program. It's been a truly amazing year so far, and our impact is just getting started, and we're growing to do great things. So next, we have some amazing information from our friend Riley, who's with the TAG team. He's going to share a little bit about how we have chosen to empower and provide a platform for the voices of all of you when it comes to this idea of factivism and his favorite topic, data. So Riley, I'd love for you to be able to share a little bit more about all of that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lindsay, and thank you, Jennifer. I, as you said, love my data. So my background is in data and data science, and I love talking about data because it really informs all of the work that we do across the world. So very excited to talk about it with each of you today, from students to teachers to faculty. Everybody in between is collecting data every day with all of the different projects that they're working on. So as we kind of make this progression from the left side of data to the right side of wisdom, we'll talk about how those things are interrelated, and we'll talk about the opportunity that we have today in front of you to talk about data and how it can impact your community. So each of the things we do every day is creating those data points. those little pieces of information that are bite-sized and small, and we can bring together in some form and fashion to really start to create the decisions that we make in our world. So we take all of those pieces of data and we start to put knowledge behind it. We start to put information behind it. And it creates this idea of information where we start to categorize things. We start to group things together and really start to create those linkages between that information. So we're switching for now from data to information, information to knowledge when we're starting to create those groups. We start to create the relationship between those different data points. And it's driving some of the decision-making process and understanding that we get from the data in our world. So when we switch from knowledge to wisdom, we're starting to use the data to make the decisions in our daily life. When we're looking at climate change, when we're looking at the environment changing around us, when we're starting to look at all of the different information and see how things are interconnected, that's when we reach this point of wisdom in our decision-making process. So we're starting from the small data pieces and going all the way to the robust of wisdom creation that we're doing in our classrooms, in our communities, and across the globe as we work together. So as we go to the next slide, we have an opportunity today to highlight some of our friends' work at World's Largest Lesson to talk about this idea of factivism, where we're taking facts or the data points and linking it with activism. We're using real data from your research to make change in our world, in our communities, in our schools, in our classrooms. We're making changes that really have impact in the work that we do. So I want to invite Noor and Jack to talk a little bit more today about the Factivism Project and introduce what Factivism is to you and your communities.
Sure thing. Thanks, Riley. Hi, everyone. I'm Jack. I'm here in the UK. It's 6 o'clock here. It's very dark outside and it's very cold. So I'm wearing my Global Goals hat to keep me warm. And you can see Noor as well. Noor, give everyone a wave. You can see her somewhere on the screen. You'll hear from her in a bit. So
Hi.
I'm just going to give you 2 quick facts to start off this part of the presentation. And they're facts about kids. So did you know that the #1 group that adults are most likely to listen to about important issues that matter, like politics, like climate change, like the SDGs, the #1 group that they are likely to listen to is their own children, more than politicians, more than news reporters, more than researchers. Studies have shown that the #1 group that they listen to is their own children. So that means that young people have a lot of power because they can persuade adults to change their minds about throwing away plastic or about doing damage to the environment or about any of the other SDGs. And the other fact I wanted to share was, and this one is a percentage, so it's a piece of data that you might like, Riley. What percentage of 5-year-olds do you think are creative geniuses? And this is NASA research. So the people that send rockets into space, they did some research. Can anyone guess what percentage of 5-year-olds are creative geniuses on their scale? I'll tell you the answer and I'll put it in the chat. 98%. 98%. When they got to 30-year-olds, so I'm 31, when they got to 30-year-olds, guess what percentage of 30-year-olds are creative geniuses? It's 2%. 2%. So what they found was that the older we get, the more we lose our creative skills. So that means everyone on this call that is under the age of 30 has a superpower that you can use to try and change the world. You can come up with new ways to do things that adults would never even think of because they've lost their imagination. And if you practice your imagination, you'll keep it. Okay, so that was 2 facts. This section's all about factivism. What those facts tell us is that young people have a really important voice. And at the World's Largest Lesson, we're always trying to find ways to give young people a voice to talk about the things that they really, really care about, to talk about the SDGs. So here are some examples. I don't know if any of you know Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. We did a YouTube show with her in COVID, and we invited children and young people to speak with her, along with the executive director of UNICEF, about education and what they think matters. And then this is a picture of Ria, who's a student who came to the UNESCO headquarters and read a poem about what she thinks should change in education. So she shared her views with some really important education ministers and politicians up on the main stage, and she was amazing. This is from this year's UN General Assembly in New York, and we invited some teenagers to come and share their views about the global goals, which global goals they think are most important and what change needs to happen. And then this is Prince William. He's the Prince of my country and many others around the world. And this is him listening to what a student thought about the Build a Waste-Free World Earthshot. So he was sharing his views on how we can build a waste-free world. And that's Prince William listening along to his ideas. So we really care about what children and young people think. And last year, some of you might remember, we did a big survey of students all over the world on education. And some of you will have taken this survey. You can see it on the picture there in the screen. And we asked 37,000 children all over the world from 150 countries what they like about school and what they'd like to change. And on the next slide, we've got some of the results in the form of data. And I want you to look at the data on the top left, which says 55% of students wanted to develop more data skills. And then underneath that, 42% want to understand more about different cultures. And on the bottom right, 42% also want to learn more about how to protect our planet. So we listened to that, and that's why we created Factivism as a way for you to develop data skills and understand more about different cultures and more about how to protect our planet. So I'll hand over to Noor to explain a little bit about what is Factivism.
Thank you so much, Jack, for walking us through our journey to Factivism. As Jack has been talking about how students and young people's voices have been our guidance going forward and so far. So from the survey that we led last year, we had a 55% of voices saying that they'd love to learn data skills as part of their official education. And this is why we created a tool that is called Factivism, which is a website where young people can go in, learn data skills, pick a cause that they want that relates to any of the global goals, and create an artistic design that can deliver their message using data. As you can see on the screen, there are a couple of examples that students all around the world have created them. Some of them are arts and crafts, some of them are hand-drawn drawings, some of them have been created using Canva or any other online tool, and they feature a data point and a visualization that comes with it to help deliver their message. This one says 430 million tons of plastic produced each year, and to deliver the message or the call to action, they have showcased, they have captured an illustration of the ocean being very much polluted and how it would affect life below water, etc. And why should this matter to you? Because we have not created a tool that helps you to create something using data and share your voice for it just to live on that website. In all our work, as Jack has explained, we try to take these voices and showcase them and amplify them at international moments. What have we done? For instance, this year for Factivism, we participated at COP. COP stands for Conference of the Parties, and it's a key meeting that is held under the United Nations. And it brings together representatives from nearly every country in the world to discuss and negotiate actions that help combat climate change. So this year, this was held in the United Arab Emirates, and we went there. We had some students create some posters, as you can see. They hand drew many of them, and after they've drawn them, they have uploaded them to the website. And we've taken these posters that were drawn there, plus others that were uploaded to our website, and we've shared them with decision makers and other people that were present at the COP space in the UAE. And this is why I invite all of you to participate in this. If you have a cause that you care about that relates to any of the global goals, if you care about quality education or gender equality or life below water, find a piece of data that supports it, create your poster, and we'll do our best to take it with us to an international space where there is decision making, so your voice can make the change that you want to see. That's all from me, and I'm going to give it back to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Noor. Thank you, Jack. We had one of our participants that had shared, he had created a poster, and I think this demonstrates nicely just the incorporation of creativity, use of different types of tools. So he started with a sketch. He actually showed us his spiral bound journal where he created the sketch, and then he used Canva to digitally support his ideas and submit that. And now his poster is living in the library for all to see. So we have opened this up, and I checked this morning, and this is pretty cool. We had nearly 15,000 students who were registered to create posters. That's a huge number. So your teachers have done the work to get us to this point. So now we're ready to invite you to create your very own poster. So I asked Lindsay to share on some ways that you get excited about creating. I know you're a creator, you do lots of creating with different art forms. So any advice to you, where should students get started if they want to maybe use EdTech to create? And what have you learned in your process?
Well, I think first and foremost, the creation process is super exciting. I love to create, whether it's with paper and pencil or digital art, but I also want to remind students that we have to first start with the data. So we start with our research, we explore online components in order to get factual information in order to represent that in some sort of artistic way. But today I want to share my favorite one with you. You can see I've got a whole little Rolodex of creations in here. This is my Canva account, and Canva is completely free for teachers. You can also, as a teacher, create a classroom similar to Google Classroom and give your students a join code where they can join your specific classroom within Canva. And it just kind of takes away the obstacle of how will you receive all of their work. The amazing thing about this is it is totally free for teachers to use. It can go on any device, whether it's a mobile device or your computer, and it's really user friendly. So I'll just quickly walk you through. What I like to start with is a search term. So for this particular instance, if we look up the word poster within Canva, because we want to create some sort of poster, we'll see that there are tons of pre-made templates that are already crafted for you. You can select any one of these templates so you're not starting from scratch, and you kind of gain some inspiration from using other people's creativity. As Jack was saying, it's so important that we leverage our creativity in order to create these visual representations of information. Now, this is a really great starting point. In order to get started with one of these, you'd simply click on it, and then you'd be able to customize this template. What I've started to do is I've selected a fact that I'm pretty passionate about, and I've started curating it within my Canva account as well. So I'm starting from scratch. So I have my blank piece of paper here, and what I've started to do is in my upload section is start to bring in images that really relate to my specific fact. So I know I want to work on SDG 5, so I found an image of that and I've been able to add it. Another thing that I love recommending is if we're looking at an image like this that has a background, a box that's colored around it, I love to be able to go in and edit that photo and remove the background. So sometimes you might grab images that have like a white background behind it, or have maybe you screenshot it. If you use that remove background icon, it's a really great way to make that image look a little bit more professional. So I've started to upload the images that I want to use to represent my specific poster, and then I've added the facts. So I've got my text here, and the way that I added text was going to this text button on the left-hand side, and you can either select any kind of text box here or one of the pre-made styles here as well. So again, you can be as creative as you'd like to be with regards to those text features as well. But I started with the facts. Obviously, I want to highlight percentages, and I want to make sure that they reflect the facts that they belong to. So I want to keep them close together. For this particular one, I'm talking about gender equality. So I want to have a visual representation that is clear in explaining the fact that I am trying to come across to my audience. So as you start to build within your poster in Canva, you'll see you can get really creative, and this ended up being my final product here. So you can see my SDG right here. You can see it's equality for women. I have a clear visual representation of what it is that I'm sharing facts about. I've used some resources down here from the gender snapshot. So I made sure to link and cite my source. You'll see this little background image is the amount of work being done for gender equality around the world. So I've even brought in some images to reflect that. And then I've made sure that the pieces that I wanted people to highlight and note are nice and big on my screen as well. The nice thing about Canva is it saves automatically. So as I'm working in here, if for some reason, I don't know, my computer crashes or it closes, it will save it for me and I won't have to worry about losing my work. But once I'm ready to be done with it, I'll share it by downloading it. So I go to the share button and download, and then I can download it as a JPEG or a PNG. These are the easiest files to upload. PDFs work sometimes too. And then when you download it, it will go to your download file. Now, once you've created your poster, you'll be able to showcase it on the Factivism website. So if we go to the home page of the website, this is what it looks like. You'll have your lesson plan here. And then look, this beautiful gallery is already up with so many people's wonderful digital artworks and facts that are represented so wonderfully. And it keeps going. So imagine the creation that you make and then upload here to our digital gallery. You can also gain inspiration by viewing the posters or the cards by the goal. So if you're looking at quality education or no poverty, you can click on the specific goal and it will show you the posters that are aligned to that category as well. I love how some have represented their country using a map, but all of these are a part of the bigger digital gallery on the Factivist website. So in order to submit, you would go to the submit button here, and you would simply add your name, your home country, and really that's all the information you need just here on this left-hand side. If you don't want to fill out a description, that's okay, but just make sure you fill out as much as you can, and then upload card. So the upload card button would be where you have your creation either saved on your device, your computer, and again, it can be hand-drawn, and those are just as powerful. Using technology tools can be great, but the message is still the same if it's something that you do on paper and pencil. So that's just a little brief overview of Canva, a tool that you can use for free to help create your Factivist poster that could then be displayed on the Factivist website. All right, and computer stayed up and running that time, so we're in good shape. So Jen, I will share it back with you for our next steps.
All right. Thanks, Lindsay. That's super cool. We will be sharing out via email with all of the teachers step-by-step directions that you all can take to make sure that you get your posters created and shared, and then they will be added up to that virtual library, which is a gallery of all of the ideas. So I see in the chat, we have lots of students with ideas ready to share. And so we're going to be letting you know in just a minute on ways that you can do that. Your classroom will also have the opportunity to claim your certificate for the posters that have been submitted. So we'll include that information in the email that's coming up. All right, so we have a CTA for you. So if you're wondering what is a CTA, this is a call to action. So Noor, I'm going to turn it over to you to announce our call to action for almost 15,000 students who care about taking action for the planet.
Thank you so much, Jen. I want to invite everyone on this call to take advantage of the leverage they have, being much, much more innovative and much more creative than where we are now. Use this creativity, put it into a card that has your strong feelings and your strong data points that you could find, and create a card that holds your voice and can create a change that you actually want to see. As explained at the beginning of the call, it could be a small change in your classroom that might lead into a small change in your school, that might lead into a bigger change in the world. So keep the amazing creative work happening, create beautiful cards, and we are eager to see them and share them with the world.
Thank you, Noor. And thank you to Jack. We appreciate all that you all are doing at World's Largest Lesson to bring the ideas of students and classrooms to this global stage. So we are ready to deliver. We have lots of students with amazing ideas, so we can't wait to get those back over to you within the next few weeks. So we'd love to hear back from our youth ambassadors on some tips and recommendations that they may have from their experience to our youth activists here and creators. So Ryan, maybe we'll turn it over to you first. Any tips you have for some of the students joining from around the world?
Some of my tips are to really stay true to yourself and always believe in what you believe in, and stay passionate and keep your imagination and creativity, and love yourself no matter what, and always be there for yourself and things that you believe.
Thanks, Ryan. And I think that it goes along with your video that you shared and that people are responding to, and just finding something that you love and sticking with that and being proud of that work. So we're so grateful for you, all the work that you do every day, and for being a part of the Goals Project as a youth ambassador. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And Anissa, we'll go over to Nigeria next. Any words of advice or tips for our students?
Yes, sure. I think it's really important to find ways to be involved in your community, because then you have people who are passionate like you and people who might have great ideas about how you can help. And also seeing results near you helps you imagine results all across the world. And another thing I'd say is that when you're making, let's say you're making an infographic for our friends at Factivism, when you're looking for something to write about or to make an infographic about, make sure it's something that you're passionate about so your passion bleeds through. So if you're interested, I saw some of our friends saying that they're interested in SDG 14, write about that, make an infographic about that, because your passion comes through when you're searching for something that matters a lot to you. So those are two things I would say.
Thanks so much, Anissa. I love the global goals because I always say there's this place for everyone somewhere in the global goals. So no matter what you care about, there is a place for you to share your voice. So I absolutely agree with you. All right, so we always love to end with a group photo. So I see a lot of our classrooms, some of you all are joining individually, some of you are with your full class. We'd love to invite you to turn on your cameras and we will take photos that we will be able to share with you after today's call. So it's so nice to see all of your faces. So we're gonna start here. So go ahead, feel free to wave, have your cameras on. I'm gonna take a couple pictures here. Looking great, keep waving. I have 6 pages, I think, of photos. This is a large call. All right, 3 more. Looking good. Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, the last thing we do is we love to have you turn your microphones on and say goodbye in your language of choice. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for the work you are doing each and every day. It's great to see your faces as part of the call, and goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Görüşürüz.
Bye.
Akşam görüşürüz.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
إما نظرت عليهم.
Bye.